There's one really big question that I keep getting asked by our members, board members, or global CEOs that are visiting the region. And the question is this: if Iran does not want military confrontation or a military escalation with the United States, why is it causing so much havoc in the region of late? One, the Iranians definitely do not want military confrontation with the United States. They don't want that because A, they spend about 50 times less on defense than the United States. However, they also recognize that they are backed into a corner. Since the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action with President Obama, the Iranians essentially gave up all of their bargaining chips, all of the leverage that they had, because on the assumption that the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and particularly the deal with the United States, would proceed. Now, of course, President Trump comes along and he changes strategy and applies this strategy called maximum pressure on the Iranians. The Iranians, off the back of that, see their economy go into recession, they see inflation spike, unemployment spike, they see businesses closing down, they see their oil exports plummeting, and they recognize that they don't have any leverage to change that situation. And that's why they've taken this very high-risk strategy of creating mischief in the region, in the Middle East, in order to provoke, hopefully, some kind of coalition of international powers, or bring the United States to a table where they can have leverage to actually negotiate something. Now, at the same time, by carrying out the attacks against Aramco, what the Iranians were doing were sending a very precise message to the White House. And that is that this maximum pressure of strategy against the Iranians comes with a cost. It comes with a price. And that price is that they can provoke the oil price, in turn increasing the price of gas at the pump in the US as President Trump runs into an election cycle, creating problems for President Trump. But at the same time, they're actually sending a message to oil importers, particularly in East Asia, where the likes of China, India, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, the traditional countries that import a lot of Gulf hydrocarbons, they're sending a message to them saying, if you're not buying Iranian oil, perhaps you should look at supply disruption as a potential scenario, because we can stop you from buying anybody's oil within the GCC or within the Gulf. And what they're doing then is they're forcing these countries to look at energy security and the diversification of those sources. And by doing that, what they're essentially doing is sending a message to the rest of the Gulf oil exporters, saying that, again, creating leverage, that we will make it difficult for you to capture market share in the international oil markets. So what all of this is designed for is the Iranians don't want a military confrontation, but as they see it, they have no choice. It's a matter of survival, and therefore they need to engage in this very high-risk strategy of provoking international reaction, provoking the oil price, without hopefully provoking some kind of outright military confrontation with the US. So it's a very high-risk strategy, but for companies, the base case scenario, in other words, what we should plan for, is that we avoid an outright military confrontation. Iran does not want this, the United States does not want this, but the risk is that while President Trump will not want to escalate things, at the same time he may not want to give concessions, and therefore the Iranians are forced into this position. So therefore, as companies, we need to monitor all statements from the United States and from Iran to look at what the direction of travel on this is, to see if there's common ground or concessions can be given. Because at the end of the day, this can have huge implications for all of our businesses in the Middle East.